Hey everyone, Shabby here and welcome back to some more SWE Universe Mode. We are here in our brand new Mayhem Arena, live from Anaheim, California. We've just had the Shabby shake-up and it's time to see what PJ Toby's got planned. And here is our opening match of the evening. It is going to be sort of a cruiserweight bout as we see Eddie Edwards, representing the Wolves of course, taking on X-Pac representing D-Generation X. And here we go. So things were freshened up. If you've not seen the videos, of course, check back on the playlist. But we have freshened up both the rosters. We've had quite a few new picks from the undrafted pool. And also quite a few picks moving from, in between Mayhem and Throwdown. Definitely worth checking those two videos out. They're a bit shorter than our normal episodes. But we are going to see quite a few of them here this evening in action, which is going to be great. I'm looking forward to seeing a few of these wrestlers mixing it up and trying to show what they can do on a different brand. And of course we have got a brand new Titantron here for Mayhem, which I'm a big fan of. I prefer this. It is essentially the old Raw is War Titantron, isn't it? But I think it's better because the old Bad Blood one was getting a little bit, I don't know, I liked it when I first created it, but then apart from that it got a little bit, it wasn't really for me. And I think this is going to be a better one for us, I think. And of course we have got a brand new one for Throwdown as well, which will be uploaded in a few days' time. But of course this is going to be X-Pac taking on Eddie Edwards. Now what PJ Toby's done is he sent me through a big list of matches that he wants to see from his brand. And I've tried to pick as many as I can. We've got 6 matches on tonight's card and 5 of them are directly from PJ Toby's list. And he's got some cracking matches on there. And this match is actually from the list as well. A nice little opener. Like I said, PJ Toby likes to go back to the good old WCW days and start his show off with a nice cruiserweight bout, and that's exactly what we've got here. And Eddie Edwards is somebody who could potentially be higher up the card at some point as well. You've got to remember how good Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards are as individual stars, and they're finally getting that sort of look in now on TNA, which is good. It's about time. And I remember saying this to PJ Toby at the time when the American Wolves were signed up by TNA. It was only a matter of time before they were fighting against each other for the TNA Championship, and look where we are now. We're exactly where I said would be. And who knows? I think both Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards could be very good on our cruiserweight roster. And we're going to have to try and find the new cruiserweight #1 contender. And I'm interested in that. I don't know what we're going to do for that over on Octane. Maybe we go for a multi-man match at our next pay-per-view, possibly. Who knows? So here we go, Eddie Edwards gets an opportunity. I don't think we've seen him in singles competition so far in this universe mode. He takes on X-Pac, who I don't think we've seen either. He's been in matches, but I think they've all been dark matches. So interesting to see how these two guys get on, and a chance for one of them to really show us what they can do and show off their ability. And of course, if you want to see more cruiserweight matches like this, be sure to check out Octane, which is uploaded after Throwdown and before Mayhem. Of course, that'll be in probably about 4 or 6 days' time. I can't remember now. Yeah, 6 days' time, because it'll be in a couple of days' time we'll have Showdown, then we'll have Throwdown, then we'll be onto Octane. And of course, with all the new draft picks, we've got quite a few new cruiserweights for Octane. And I can give you a few of the matches we're going to see here this evening. We are going to see Roderick Strong taking on Bobby Roode one-on-one, which will be very interesting. We have got Jeff Cobb taking on Kurt Angle. We're going to have the debuting Guerrillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tangaroa, taking on Dynasty, Trevor Lee and Andrew Everett. We're also going to be seeing Eddie Guerrero versus Rob Van Dam versus Chris Jericho in a triple threat match. And the winner of that one will be the #1 contender for Finn Balor's Television Championship. And in our main event, we have got for you... Who have we got in the main event? Shawn Michaels versus James Storm. That's what we've got in the main event here this evening. So, basically the same person. Both cowboys who like to use a super kick. So, it's going to be an interesting main event. And I think one thing I have noticed about PJ Toby's roster and these new people as well, is he seems to have gone a little bit retro TNA. He's got Roderick Strong, Bobby Roode, James Storm, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles. He was desperate to take Austin Aries off me, but I refused. I want to keep Austin Aries, and of course he is our United States Champion over on Throwdown as well. He's got Eric Young, of course, from from Sanity as well. So he's got quite a lot of retro TNA guys here, and of course adding on the American Wolves in the ring right now. He's got a very TNA style roster, but he's the thing about PJ Toby's roster is it is beautifully mixed. He's got some legends, he's got some Attitude Era, he's got these ex-TNA guys, he's got some NXT guys, he's got some current day names. It's a perfect storm of wrestling mayhem, and I think we're going to see some fantastic matches leading up to our next pay-per-view, which is still yet unnamed. I think it's just going to be another standard pay-per-view, but I think what we might do this month was we might return to having one or two maybe specials. So like we had very early on the Universe mode, we had a Rumble special, and I'm thinking we might do the same sort of thing this month. So maybe, I've got a couple of ideas of things we're going to do. I've got quite a few specials lined up. PJ Toby's had a few ideas as well, and wow, Eddie Edwards picks up the quick victory here over X-Pac. I wasn't even paying attention, to be honest with you. I was just talking away and looking at my list of ideas we have for the future, but Eddie Edwards picks up a massive victory here on Mayhem. A first chance for him to see us, first chance for us to see him, shall I say, in singles competition here on Mayhem, and he picks up a great victory against X-Pac, who's no weakling in his own right. He's a very established wrestler and a good member of our Cruiserweight division, but it just shows, like I said, the extent that Eddie Edwards can do and how high he should possibly be up the card. And the Wolves themselves are a very good tag team. Maybe we'll see some more of them this month as well. Of course, the Broken Harleys are still the champions here on Mayhem. Maybe the Wolves want to interject themselves in that championship division. And here we go. Here's that next match that I promised earlier on. Roderick Strong takes on Bobby Roode. And here we go. First of all, making his way to the ring is going to be Roderick Strong, a man who's not seen a lot of action over the last couple of months. He's been used a lot more than other people, don't get me wrong, but he's not really garnered a lot of momentum so far. We've seen him so far in, of course, the King of Gladiators tournament. He was unsuccessful. He got a bit further than we thought he was going to, though, didn't he? He picked up some big victories as well. Including, did he beat The Rock, if I'm correct? It was a while ago now, I can't actually remember, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more from Roderick Strong moving forward. And he's got a great opportunity to show us exactly what he can do in this match against Bobby Roode. And like I was saying in the last match, two big former names in TNA. Of course, Roderick Strong, the king of the backbreaker, a member of the X Division. That makes me think, and I want your input right here again. Of course, like I said, Roderick Strong was the king of the backbreaker, utilised a lot in the X Division. What do you guys think about Roderick Strong potentially joining the Cruiserweight division here in our Universe mode and joining Octane? What do you think about that? Do you think that he would suit that? If he does, of course, we can definitely bring him in. And I think he'll be a very strong member of that Cruiserweight division. And who knows, he might even get an opportunity to go for the Cruiserweight Championship. He's a very strong name over there. There's a lot of strong names over there now, though. Of course, Neville is still the Cruiserweight Champion after defeating Tyler Bate at our previous Shabby Mania pay-per-view. But maybe we could see, yeah, maybe we could see him doing something like that. That'd be interesting, actually. I'd like that. Yeah, but let me know what you think. Do you think that Roderick Strong suits that division? I also had this conversation, didn't I, in the Shabby Shake-Up for Throwdown. Do you think that potentially, I know he's a lot bigger, but Apollo Crews would suit Octane? I know he would probably exceed the weight limit, but his style of wrestling might just suit it, but I'm unsure on that one. But Roderick Strong, I'm seriously considering entering into that Cruiserweight division. But this should be an interesting one, of course. Bobby Roode making his debut here on Mayhem. He is one of the men that was drafted across from Throwdown alongside James Storm. So James Storm in the main event here this evening. Bobby Roode on the card as well. PJ Toby really utilising some of the wrestlers that I didn't necessarily use a lot, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be doing the same over on Throwdown in a few days' time. The bell goes and we are underway. Which one of these two guys is going to get themselves a nice little boost in the rankings, of course. Not only for the potential Mayhem Championship, but potentially moving forward towards the television championship as well. Of course, Finn Balor successfully retaining that in a cage match against Daniel Bryan at Shabby Mania. But of course we do know we are going to have a #1 contender for the television championship by the end of the evening, when we do have Eddie Guerrero versus Rob Van Dam versus Chris Jericho in a triple threat. And there is Roderick Strong utilising those backbreakers. We said he likes to use them, and he's getting good effect out of them. And a step up into Guri as well, right to the side of the face of Bobby Roode. Yeah, these matches that PJ Tovey sent through are fantastic. He's got some really good ideas. And we are going to have a big announcement coming up pretty soon as well, which I'm excited for. Several big announcements here for Mayhem. Of course, they'll come out over the Coben weeks. They won't all come at once. I think this evening we just want to try and utilise the new guys and see exactly how it all pans out. Strong now sending Bobby Roode back into the ring. Creeping up behind Roode. Springs him off the ropes. Went for the drop kick and Roode fought back, but there's the jawbreaker by Roderick Strong. Now bringing Roode into the middle, takes him up onto his shoulders. What's he got planned here? Into a backbreaker, of course. That was quite obvious, wasn't it, really? We should have known there was going to be a backbreaker. Roderick Strong is the king of the backbreaker. And of course, before joining NXT, he was a fantastic heel champion at PWG for quite some time. That PWG belt currently held by Zack Sabre. Well, I say that. I think there's actually a PWG event on tonight, or it might have been yesterday. I'm not sure, actually. Again, I'm recording this a little bit ahead of time because I'm going away again, believe it or not. I've just been off for 2 weeks ill. I was going to go away for 2 weeks for work, and I ended up becoming quite ill on my first couple of days. So I've done nothing really. I've literally been at home. I've been housebound for... Today was the first day I've left the house in 8 days or 9 days. First time I even opened the front door. Which is pretty crazy, although I've loved it really. I've done nothing but play Skyrim and Final Fantasy and them sort of games all day. And now that I feel a bit better, I've had a chance to sit down and get all this sort of stuff sorted. And I'm looking forward to this. I'll tell you what, when it got to Shabby Mania, it felt like it was sort of coming to an end. But after we did the Shabby shake-up the other day, I've sort of regained a whole new excitement about this roster now. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the new guys are going to act on this roster, how the new guys are going to be over on my roster as well. And of course, there are quite a few new undrafted people that have joined as well that we're going to get to see over on Showdown and Octane as well. Of course, we've seen people like AJ Lee debut. She's going to be joining up with the Throwdown roster and also over on Showdown as well. We've seen the likes of Hideo Itami, who's going to be an Octane. There's a lot of new people, actually. Of course, PJ Tovey's brought in people like Dean Ambrose and Ken Shamrock and Bam Bam Bigelow. He's got Colt Cabana now as well, Randy Savage. We've got a lot of really cool stuff ongoing. Roderick Strong, there is the big gutbuster. Followed up by the running knee strike. Is that a knee strike or a single? I think that's a single boot to the face. And this could be Roderick Strong's chance here to get the pin. Rolling Bobby Roode into the middle. Doesn't go for the pin though. Looks to continue the assault. Bobby Roode got back up to a kneeling base. And a shining wizard right to the back of the head there by Roderick Strong. Who now folds Bobby Roode over into the Boston Crab style submission. And there he is tapping out. And Roderick Strong picks up the victory over Bobby Roode by submission. Fantastic win there by Roderick Strong. I must admit, I expected the glorious Bobby Roode to pick up the victory in this one, but Strong showing that he is not a write-off on this. Well, he's not a write-off, of course he's not, but he's not somebody who can be overlooked. He's done so well so far in this universe mode, and I think eventually we're going to have to give him some sort of reward for how well he is doing. But like I said, at the moment, we've got the television championship sorted. We know it's Brock Lesnar versus CM Punk at the next pay-per-view for the Mayhem Championship, as Brock Lesnar defeated The Undertaker at Shabby Mania. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what we can do with Roderick Strong. But like I said, I fancy him over on Octane, potentially going for that Cruiserweight Championship. But let me know what you think in the comment section below, and we'll see what we can do with Roderick Strong. And next up, we are going to have a tag team match. We're going to see the debut of the Guerrillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tangaroa, taking on Dynasty, Andrew Everett and Trevor Lee. Two very different styles in this match, and it'd be interesting to see how they mesh. And here we go. everyone around my place seems to own really loud motorbikes. I don't know if you can hear that coming through the speakers, but it is really loud. So we've got the Guerrillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tangaroa making their way to the ring for their first ever match in SWE. Of course, these guys were drafted not from Throwdown, but from the undrafted pool, and it was somebody who was requested quite a few times, especially by Jay over at Gaming HD. He requested these guys quite a few times, about 3 or 4 weeks ago. But of course, like I said, I've recorded so many episodes ahead of time that it's only been now, when we had the Shabby shake-up, that we're able to bring them in. And it'd be interesting to see what sort of effect they're going to have on this tag team division. Of course, we know the Hardy Boys, or the Broken Hardys, are the current tag team champions. We saw a good performance earlier on from Eddie Edwards. We also know that we got some very strong tag teams on this brand already. Edge and Christian. The Dudley Boys joined this roster as well. We've got the Lucha Dragons join this roster. We've got Mustache Mountain. We've got the Club. We've got Sanity. We've got Beer Money. We've got Reborn. There are so many strong, American Alpha as well. So many strong tag teams on this roster. It'll be interesting to see who actually gets the opportunity at the Broken Hardys at the next pay-per-view. And I've got an idea of something we could possibly do. Something that leads it solely up to chance and solely up to who is the best. And that might be to have maybe a fatal 4-way or maybe a 6-man over the top rope battle royal with one person representing each team, and then maybe letting the fate decide who gets that championship match against the Broken Hardys. Of course, it was Edge and Christian that faced the Broken Hardys at Shabby Mania. However, they were unsuccessful in their shot. I'm not going to say we'll take it away from them, but at the same time, you never know. The bell goes and we are underway. Tama Tonga and Tangaroa taking on the Dynasty. Of course, Trevor Lee and Andrew Everett. More of a tag team we assume we'll see over on Octane, but they get an opportunity here on Mayhem, and they're going to try and take the best of that opportunity. If they can defeat the debuting team, the Guerrillas of Destiny, then they're going to be in a fantastic position to maybe push on and get themselves involved in that tag team championship division. Of course, Dynasty's been doing fantastically well recently as well. We saw Trevor Lee only a few weeks ago picking up a singles victory over Tommaso Ciampa. Then we saw Andrew Everett picking up a singles victory over Tommaso Ciampa. And then, of course, we saw Dynasty picking up a tag team victory over DIY as well. So they really have been on top form. But Tommaso Ciampa, of course, did get some retribution at Shabby Mania Night 1 when he defeated Trevor Lee one-on-one. Well, there we go. Both of the Guerrillas of Destiny making their way up to the top rope. Tangaroa there with the splash. Tama Tonga with a double axe handle. And I know this is a team that WWE were interested in. Of course, Tangaroa used to wrestle in WWE. In case you don't know, he is the former Camacho. Of course, the guy used to come down on a bicycle with Hunico and Epico and Primo. It was a bit of a random one, wasn't it? Tama Tonga, I don't think he wanted to, though. I think he wanted to stay in New Japan. I think he was under the impression that New Japan were the company that finally gave him the opportunity that nobody else would, and he wanted to stay there to show his gratitude for that. And I think that's the same sort of thing with Kenny Omega, maybe. Omega sort of felt like New Japan were the company who really gave him his main event break. And I'm sort of glad that Kenny Omega stayed in New Japan, to be honest with you. It would have been lovely to see him in the WWE, but I would like him to come into the WWE in the same style that AJ Styles did. Maybe as a big entrant into the Royal Rumble and start straight away on the main roster. However, I don't know if they would have done that, WWE. I don't know if they would have wanted to stick him down in NXT, which would have been fine, but I think he deserves to go straight on the main roster. Talking of the main roster, I was actually reading on Lords of Pain the other day as well that Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis are rumoured to be joining WWE very soon and actually coming straight onto the SmackDown roster, so bypassing NXT altogether and joining SmackDown, which would be pretty interesting, actually. I'm assuming they'll get away with that by people knowing who Maria is and maybe her bringing her husband in and introducing him. Of course, a lot of us fans who watch a lot of different wrestling around the world, not just WWE, know exactly who Mike Bennett is. We've seen him for the last year or two over in TNA, and before that, obviously in Ring of Honor as well. But it'd be interesting to see if he does get the opportunity to completely bypass NXT and join SmackDown Live, which I think would be good. I think Maria doing what she's been doing in TNA, just getting under the skin of everybody, and she's very good on the mic. And of course, Mike Bennett is a very accomplished wrestler as well, as long as they don't mess him around with some stupid gimmick like they have done in past with people like that. Kurt Hawkins comes to mind. If they just let Kurt Hawkins be heel Kurt Hawkins, he would do a lot better than what currently they're forced him to do. This whole stupid jobbing thing. We're basically just getting beaten week on week, but as we've seen recently, getting beat week on week means that probably you'll end up getting a SmackDown Live Championship match, won't you? That's what's happened to Jinder Mahal. I don't remember the last time Jinder Mahal won a singles match, yet he's got a main event of pay-per-view. Someone explain that to me, please. Don't get me wrong, I think it's not a bad idea, but I think I've probably uploaded an episode of Shabby Talk by now discussing the Jinder Mahal situation. As a 680 there by Andrew Everett. That could be enough to get the victory, you know. He goes for the pin. Trevor Lee needs to take Tangaroa out. Roa is still shaken for that big move, and there we go. It's a victory for Dynasty over Guerrillas of Destiny. Wow. That's not the debut that Guerrillas of Destiny were hoping for, but Dynasty continue their momentum here in this universe mode, and you know what? These guys are bloody good. They really are good, and they must be involved in whatever we're going to do tag team wise moving forward, because they've definitely proved themselves on various levels. We've seen them picking up victories on Octane. We've seen them picking up singles victories on their own, but now that is a huge victory over a big, strong tag team, completely stunting the Guerrillas of Destiny's debut. And here is our next match of the evening, and as I said, it is going to be to crown the #1 contender for Finn Balor's television championship. We've got Rob Van Dam, we've got Eddie Guerrero, and we've got Chris Jericho. And here we go. So 3 guys that are all fairly new to the roster. Of course, Eddie Guerrero was one of the men taken by PJ Tovey in the Shabby shake-up from Throwdown over to Mayhem. And a man who, when I picked him, I said that he spans many genres. He could potentially go for the Mayhem Championship. He could go for the Television Championship. He could go for the Cruiserweight Championship. This guy really spans a lot of different areas, and he's a fantastic member of the roster. And we used him a little bit here and there on Throwdown, but of course he never really took the opportunities. He was involved in #1 contenderships here and there matches, but never really got the match that he needed, never really got the win he needed to force him into that championship picture. But here he is now being given a #1 contendership shot straight away here on Mayhem. But it's not going to be easy. There's a lot of star power in this match, and Eddie Guerrero is going to have to use all of his cunning, all of his lying, his cheating, and his stealing if he wants to pick up the victory here. And here is his next opponent, or his first opponent, should I say. It's Mr. Rob Van Dam. Again, another person who's very, very new to this roster. Only came in sort of middle of the last month before Shabby Mania. Had a couple of matches here and there, but nothing special. This is his first big opportunity, and he gets this opportunity to potentially get himself a spot on the next pay-per-view and a championship match as well. And of course, we are going to see Eddie Guerrero versus Rob Van Dam with a battle of the frog splashes. Why on earth Rob Van Dam has got Breeze Dango's entrance video? I've got no idea. I think I would have just left it blank, but there you go. That's how I downloaded him. And of course, the third member of this match is going to be Mr. Y2J, Chris Jericho. Another man that PJ Tovey took from the Throwdown roster and wants to utilize a bit more here on Mayhem. Welcome to Mayhem is Jericho. This match is going to be insane. It really is. 3 really good top-level wrestlers in their primes. Of course, we have got Retro 2001 Chris Jericho when he was going, of course, for the Undisputed Championship. Did he defeat The Rock and Austin on the same night? I'll have to go back and watch that, because that just sounds like an immense pay-per-view. Defeating The Rock and Austin on the same night to become the Undisputed Champion. That sounds like it sounds like the sort of thing that Daniel Bryan did, didn't he, on the that WrestleMania card where he won the match against Triple H to get himself involved in the main event, and then won the triple threat as well. But this is going to be insane, this match. Like I said, Eddie Guerrero, Rob Van Dam, and Chris Jericho. There's just so much ability on show here. And I'm sure Finn Balor is backstage, glued to a screen right now, trying to not only see who it's going to be he's going to face off against, but of course scouting all three of these guys, because I just imagine at one point or another, all three of these guys are going to cross paths with Finn Balor. But who of these three guys is going to get the opportunity to face him for the championship? So there are the three guys. The bell goes and we are underway. Chris Jericho being a bit wise, just taking a step back. Now going straight into it, but it's going to be an interesting one. This again, it will be no disqualification, no countouts, but of course pinfalls and submissions must take place inside the ring. I can't remember if I made this Extreme Rules or not. I honestly can't remember. If I did, then it means no rope breaks as well. But I normally do Extreme Rules, but I must admit I may have forgotten. Jericho now just choking Eddie Guerrero out. And Jericho now starting to work on Rob Van Dam as well. And I must say, I know I give this game a lot of abuse. And don't get me wrong, in most cases it deserves the abuse. But I think the one thing they've done fantastically well this year is made the triple threats and the fatal four-way matches actually usable for AI, because the last couple of years they were absolutely useless unless you used elimination style, which they have taken elimination style away from us now, which is a bit of a shame, but I think it's fantastic what we can do on this one. And I still think they should allow us to have match types that we can create. So they used to have it, didn't they, where you could change the rules. But if you could go in there and say create a match type, and you say I want it to be best 2 out of 3 falls. Maybe the first fall is hardcore, the second fall is table, the third fall is ladder. Then you make yourself a 3 stages of hell match. Then you can do create a match, winning condition, pinfall off, submission off, disqualification off, and just make it first blood. Then you've created yourself a first blood match. And there's so many different things you could do, and it's just a shame that they took that away from us. But hopefully in 2K18 we're going to get a lot of this stuff back, because that's what they seem to have done. Over the last sort of 3 or 4 years we seem to have lost a lot more features than we've gained, but in the other side of course we've gained a lot more match quality. That's one thing that definitely has improved over the last few years, because about 2 or 3 years ago, if you put it on fast momentum, your match was going to last maybe 30 seconds to a minute, but now we're still getting pretty decent quality matches. Eddie Guerrero there with a Northern Light suplex. We're still getting pretty decent matches. There's just still a few match types where if you're playing yourself it probably isn't an issue, but because we're doing AI versus AI most of the time, because I don't like to know who's going to win. If I start playing the matches myself, it's going to be more obvious who's going to win, and I'm probably going to get more salty about it, and obviously the commentary won't be as good because I can't do 2 things at once, as you may have noticed with other games that I've been playing. So we really do depend on the AI being as top as it possibly can be, and there's just a few situations where I think that it's a little bit lacking, but hopefully year on year that's just going to get better, isn't it? Let's face it. But I can't wait for 2K18 just because the sheer fact of who's going to be on the game. We've got all the 205 Live guys, we've got new NXT guys and ladies as well, we've got brand new people that have joined the roster, we've got people from the UK tournament, which I would imagine that WWE will have scanned. Guys like Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne and so forth. Whether they'll end up being DLC, which I'm pretty sure they will end up being DLC, to be honest with you. But still, it's fantastic to know that we could get DLC of maybe the championship belt and 4 or 5 names from the UK tournament. That'd be great. Jericho now pinning RVD up in the corner. RVD catching there with that knee in the face. Jericho sending Rob Van Dam into the corner. Oh, and Jericho gets overtaken there by Guerrero, trying to take control. Guerrero with the boot to the gut now of Jericho. And now one suplex. No, right after the suplexes. I think he was going for the Three Amigos there. I've lost my voice. I think he was going for the Three Amigos, but Jericho broke free. Now Jericho locking in the walls of Jericho, middle of the ring on Eddie Guerrero. RVD's down on the outside. Guerrero does tap out. And Chris Jericho is your #1 contender for the television championship. We're going to see Jericho versus Finn Balor at the upcoming pay-per-view. And Chris Jericho, fantastic victory for him. Taking full advantage of his debut here on the show. PJ Toby put him straight away in this championship #1 contendership, and now we know Jericho is already got more opportunities on Mayhem than he was ever afforded on Throwdown. And that's why the shake-up is great, because people that PJ Toby wasn't using, I now get a chance to utilize, and back and forth really, and Jericho's really advantaged from that. It looks like we got Triple H making his way to the ring here. Very interesting. Triple H making his way to the ring. He has microphone in hand. I wonder what he's got in his mind. Again, Triple H, a man we've not really seen much of so far in this universe mode. And maybe that's what he's got to say. Maybe that's what he's got in mind. Of course, it worked very well for Brock Lesnar last month. Brock Lesnar complained about the lack of opportunities. And now look at him. He's the #1 contender for the Mayhem Championship. Let's see what Triple H has got to say, though. Before I start, let's get one thing straight. I'm not going for the applause line. I don't care if you like what I have to say. I don't care if you cheer or boo. I'm not here for your approval. I'm here to make a statement. It sounds like Triple H might be doing what we said then. Might be looking to try and get some extra opportunities around here. Ha ha ha. You people are so cute. Adorable, really. You sit in your little chairs, you applaud or jeer, and you go home happy with your cozy little lives. How small-minded people live will always amaze me. I was a bit worried then. I thought I might have read that wrong, you know. I'm here to proclaim my unabashed respect and alignment with the authority. You should do, mate. You are the authority. Through them, the WWE can return to a respected company it was before it fell into the hands of the thugs in the back who call themselves superstars. As their chief supporters, I will, to use a phrase that you can all understand, take out the trash. Okay, he cut me off. What a git. I've waited patiently for my turn, and now I'm demanded I get an opportunity to prove myself for the next pay-per-view. I've earned the right, and if I'm not given the opportunity, then I can't be held accountable for what happens. Ah, so I was right. Triple H is taking the he's taken the same line that Brock Lesnar did. And I've got no concerns about my wishes being fulfilled. I always get my way. It's just the way the universe works. I guess I'm Mother Nature's favourite child. Interesting. So Triple H, just as we were saying, proclaiming that he wants more opportunities in the WWE, or the SWE, should I say. Completely, I've just done Nigel McGuinness then and quoted the wrong company's name. But yeah, interesting. And here is our next match of the evening. It is going to be Jeff Cobb taking on the Olympic hero Kurt Angle. And here we go. What's going to be a very interesting match, this one. Two very, very good, solid wrestlers. There is, of course, Mr. Athlete, or Mr. Athletic, he calls himself by the looks of it, Jeff Cobb. Who, of course, had a very good match at Shabby Mania against Cesaro on, I think it was night 2 or 3. He's a very good wrestler. I'm surprised that WWE haven't picked him up as yet. I believe that they have been in contact and they've sort of made their interest very clear to Jeff Cobb. I think the thing is with Jeff Cobb is he got into professional wrestling quite late in his life. I say quite late in his life. He's not old as such, but he's only been wrestling for about a year or two. So I think they want him to continue sort of building up his knowledge on the indie scene. However, the guy has just taken to it so well, and I think that is because of his collegiate wrestling background and he's just sheer strength. He has the ability to do whatever he so wants in the ring. He has the power to do it. And I'm sure Kurt Angle is going to be very aware of this power very, very soon. And here comes Kurt Angle. And as I was saying in the last match about people who are definitely going to be on WWE 2K18's game, this man, I would be very, very surprised if this man wasn't the cover star, to be honest with you. I'd be surprised if he wasn't the cover star and he wasn't the pre-order DLC, then I'd be very, very surprised. But at the same time, it might be somebody else and they might just give us Kurt Angle free of charge. But Kurt has to be on 2K18. There's no questions about it. And it wouldn't surprise me if they did some sort of like live sort of, what was it, unveiling of the new case on Raw. Maybe Angle doesn't even know. Maybe they keep it a big secret from him. They open it up and it shows Angle as the face of the game. And it would only make sense in my opinion. If 2K leave him off this game, it would be an absolute travesty. But I can't imagine it would have been. I can't imagine they haven't had him scanned yet. He was announced for the Hall of Fame back in like January, wasn't he? So it was quite clear it was definitely going to happen. So I would imagine if he's not going to be the cover star of the game, and he's not on the game to start off with, he'll definitely be part of the Hall of Fame DLC. They do that every year now, don't they? So, but he should be there before then. I should imagine we'll get him straight away, and then maybe in the Hall of Fame DLC we might get a couple of extra Angles, different years maybe. And Jeff Cobb starting things off pretty strongly here against Angle. Of course, Angle is the leader of the new Team Angle, of course, alongside... Oh my god, look at the ability of this man. It's incredible. And if you're wondering, yes, that is exactly his size, and that is the sort of maneuvers he can pull off. It's insane what this guy can do. But yeah, of course, Angle leading the new Team Angle, of course, of American Alpha, Jason Jordan, and Chad Gable. And, yeah, it's been quite effective so far. He's not got a lot of opportunities, though. I think he has had opportunities. He's just not taken them very well, Angle, to be honest with you. It'd be interesting to see exactly what Angle can do here this evening. As Jeff Cobb just launches Angle over his shoulders like he wasn't even there. And now stamping it on the arm of Angle as well. Cobb catching a hold of Angle, and there's an alley-oop style suplex, launching Angle across the ring. Cobb now bringing Angle back up to his feet. Angle there launching Cobb over the top. And both these guys seem to know each other quite well, but I think that's because they've got similar style moves. I know you're not going to see Angle doing a standing moonsault or anything like that, don't get me wrong, but they both like to utilise the suplexes and so forth. I just think that Jeff Cobb has a slight advantage with strength. He could launch Kurt Angle across the ring if he so wishes. Angle now with a backdrop and keeps a hold of it as well, and for a second backdrop, and Angle again keeping the grip and now going for a German suplex. So Angle utilising his suplexes pretty well. And now just rubbing the face of Jeff Cobb into the mat, and that's a bit of well, you're basically rubbing his face in it, aren't you, I suppose, but it's a bit of it's not the move you'd expect to see. I can't even think of the word, so I kept just starting the sentence again and went a different way instead. Yeah, it's not the sort of thing we used to see at Angle doing. Another German suplex by Angle, though, folding Jeff Cobb in half. Brings Cobb back up to his feet. Gets on the back once again. Another German, keeps the grip and rolls the hip. Looking for the second German, which he does, and again keeps the grip and rolls the hip. Looking for the trifecta of German suplexes. It's interesting, isn't it? Like, I'm just going by memory here, and I might be completely wrong, but the first person I ever remember seeing doing that trifecta of German suplexes was Chris Benoit. And then, of course, Angle was doing it as well. And then I believe Eddie Guerrero started doing his trifecta of normal suplexes, and Angle's just won it with those trifecta of Germans. Wow. We've seen a lot of quick victories here this evening, but this one by Kurt Angle over Jeff Cobb is very interesting. Jeff Cobb, don't get me wrong, he put up a good fight, but I think Angle just showed his experience over Jeff Cobb. And Angle picks up a great victory. That's going to boost him up the rankings here on Mayhem. And who knows, maybe after Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle? No. After Brock Lesnar and CM Punk have collided, maybe Kurt Angle can work his way into that championship picture. And here is our main event of the evening. It's essentially the same person, isn't it? It's Shawn Michaels taking on James Storm. I've always made that joke. And here we go, main event time. And this is going to be incredible. I'm looking forward to this. And as I was saying a minute ago with the joke, I've always said to PJ Tovey that Beer Money was always just a rip-off DX. Because if you look at it, you've got Bobby Roode, who in my opinion, you might not agree with me, but Bobby Roode, in my opinion, is just Triple H. He's a younger version of Triple H. If you look at it, he utilises a lot of the same moves. He's the same sort of ring general style. Not the most exciting moveset, but can tell a story in the ring very well. And then you look at James Storm. And James Storm is the guy who, again, utilises a lot of the same moves as Shawn Michaels. Utilises the last call super kick as his finisher maneuver. And of course, Shawn Michaels uses the Sweet Chin music. They're both cowboys. Of course, both turn up with their cowboy hats on all the time. And it's amazing to me just how similar Beer Money and DX really were. And I think that might be what Beer Money were trying to do over in TNA, just become the new DX. But it worked for him, didn't it? I think it was interesting because that's what TNA sort of did at that time. If I remember correctly, they sort of took two guys who they knew were good, but creative had nothing for them. If you want to go back to the old Colt Cabana show, yeah, creative had nothing for them, so they just sort of stuck them together as a tag team, and they gelled so well. And from that tag team, they ended up getting so over that they became one of the biggest things on TNA. And what TNA love to do when they've got... I've not done these singles entrance of James Storm before. It's amazing. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, that is amazing. I love it. I love that entrance so much. Of course, it is the Stone Cold Steve Austin entrance, but that entrance, I don't know, it just suits him perfectly. It really does suit him perfectly. Oh, God. Sorry, I just got completely distracted there because I didn't even realise that was James Storm. I've only ever used James Storm in a tag team before. This is his first singles match that we're going to see him in. And I did not even realise that was his entrance. Of course, in TNA, he used to ride the little beer cooler down, didn't he? But that entrance, in my opinion, suits him amazingly. And now all of a sudden, James Storm is turned into Stone Cold Steve Austin. It'd be great if if that stayed there throughout the match, and then if you won, you drove it back up the ramp. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to disappear now. But it would be cool if it stayed there. I remember on one of the old games it used to, didn't it? Now it's gone. On one of the old games it used to, didn't it? When you had the Undertaker's entrance with the motorbike, the motorbike used to stay there, and you used to be able to ride it up and down the ramp. You could be able to get on it and you could ride it. I can't remember what game that was now. That was a long time ago. Was that the one with the giant... I think the one with the giant fist, the SmackDown one, was the best one. That was the one where you could really do whatever you wanted to do. That was... For me, don't get me wrong, the match quality wasn't fantastic, but it was the pinnacle of just having the openness. You could walk out and you could... I seem to remember you could go out onto the road and you could go across the road into a bar and you could fight in the bar. There was a boiler room you could fight in which had a cage that you could put people through. And I think that was the same one where you could get on the Undertaker's bike and ride it up and down the ramp and you could run people over with it. It was such a fun game. Oh, there we go again, just another similarity. Look at the attires. They're not too different, are they, really? But again, two guys who, of course, Shawn Michaels hasn't really been seen a lot so far in this universe mode on PJ Tovey's Mayhem brand. Of course, we've seen him in a match at Shabby Mania against Bret Hart, which, of course, was an amazing match. But Bret Hart now, of course, moved across to Throwdown. And, of course, James Storm making his debut here after he moved from Throwdown to Mayhem. It's worked out pretty well for Beer Money so far, because I used them once or twice. They had a championship match, and I think they lost it against Sumerian Death Squad. They moved to Mayhem, and straight away in their first night here, they both managed to get themselves in singles competition. Okay, James Storm taking the top turnbuckle pad off. James Storm looks like he's playing the heel in this one. Dropping Shawn Michaels with the atomic drop. Now making his way up onto the top rope. What is James Storm lining up for here? Great crossbody. And James Storm in full control of this match at the moment. And this would be a humongous victory for him. Probably one of the biggest of his career. Definitely his biggest in this universe mode. Of course, his tag team partner Bobby Roode from Beer Money earlier on lost to Roderick strong. So it'll be interesting to see if James Storm can turn this night around for Beer Money. I didn't even know what that was. He took him up in what looked like it was going to be a torture rack and just spun him round into that sidewalk slam. And now Shawn Michaels taking control of the match, but commentators curse there as James Storm boots him in the side of the head. Now Michaels again taking control, and again Storm taking control. That's it then. Michaels taking control. That's it. They know each other so well because they are the same person. It's like Shawn Michaels just went back in time a little bit in a time machine and decided he was going to wrestle for TNA for a bit. That's what happened. Michaels, after hitting the pile driver, decides not to follow up on that attack. James Storm's back up now. Michaels fighting back there with a right hand to the ribs, and now a backbreaker on James Storm. Shawn Michaels now making his way up onto the top turnbuckle. Big diving elbow drop. We've seen that from him a few times. And now what's Michaels up to? A quesadora. Which I'm still not sure if I'm saying that right. Let me know in the comment section. I'm sure. I've got a feeling that's right. The problem with a lot of these high-flying springboard maneuvers are all, of course, from Lucha Libre. So you're trying to get the pronunciation correct of Latin American, which is very similar to Portuguese, but in some cases it's slightly different. I don't know why it's Portuguese, thinking about it. Because it was the Spanish that took over South America, so it's a bit odd how it's more Portuguese than it is Spanish, but there you go. That's a history lesson for a different day. Christopher Columbus and the Spanish invasion of America in the 15th century. We'll leave that for now. We'll leave that for now. No, it was 16th century, wasn't it? It's the way it works. It was the 1500s, but it was the 16th century. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. If that's not a tangent, I don't know what is, I'll tell you. Shawn Michaels now dropping back into the corner, trying to regain a little bit of energy. Like we said, we haven't seen much of him so far in this universe mode. Maybe there's a little bit of ring rust creeping in. Oh, or maybe not. Sweet chin music taking James Storm down. There's the pin. 1, 2, and no. James Storm kicked out the sweet chin music. Michaels can't believe it. Getting right in the face of the referee who's not actually up there. Now Michaels going up to the top once again. Are we going to see another diving elbow? No, James Storm stirring and Michaels stays up top. What has Michaels got planned here? A big double axe handle again, taking Storm down. That must have been confusing back in the late 90s, early 2000s when they were doing the whole DX thing, because that symbol, of course, is the symbol that wrestlers do when, or the referee does when wrestlers are injured. As Shawn Michaels now turns James Storm over. We've already seen quite a few submission victories here this evening. Are we going to see another here as Shawn Michaels locks in the sharpshooter on James Storm? Is it going to be enough? I don't know what James Storm is doing so well. He survives pretty well and manages to roll himself back through and kicking Shawn Michaels away. Michaels again just catching James Storm. Takes him up into a backdrop. Oh, and now Shawn Michaels once again looking to tune up the band. And a sweet chin music. This time James Storm is surely not going to kick out. There's the pin. 1, 2, and 3. And there we go. Shawn Michaels picks up a big victory here in the main event of Mayhem against James Storm. And that is definitely going to give him a bit of a boost in the rankings as well. Like I said, we've not seen him a lot so far in this universe mode. And that victory is definitely going to help him out. Is Edge? What's Edge doing here? Shawn Michaels celebrating here, and Edge with the punch right in the back of the head. And I'm a bit confused here. What is Edge doing here? Is Edge trying to do the same thing that Brock Lesnar and Triple H is doing and trying to seize an opportunity here? Of course, we saw Edge and Christian challenging for the Tag Team Championships at Shabby Mania. And now here he is, double axe handle right to the back of the head of Shawn Michaels. Edge bringing Michaels back up to his feet. Now for an execution. And Edge, yeah, tapping his head. Maybe he's showing that he's using his brain here. He's trying to make an opportunity for himself and lining up Shawn Michaels. Big spear. Edge, no. Shawn Michaels reversed that spear into a DDT. And Michaels fighting Edge back now. Oh, Shawn Michaels taking Edge out. It's been a fantastic night for Michaels, but we're still... Why was Edge here? Why was Edge running down to the ring and trying to take Shawn Michaels out? Is he trying to force himself an opportunity, like we said before, with Triple H, and it worked fantastically well for Brock Lesnar last month, but wow, Edge tried to make an impact here, and it's definitely backfired on him. So guys, that is going to be the end of this episode of Mayhem. I hope you have enjoyed it. Of course, if you have, then please do hit the like button and subscribe as always. It does help me out. It makes the video easier for other people to find, so it helps us grow the channel and that sort of stuff. So that would be fantastic if you could do that for me. Of course, if you need to check out the rosters, I have fully updated them and they are over on the blog. We're not going to keep doing the results because it was taking me a long time and I was only getting 2 or 3 views, so it wasn't really worth it. So, but there is an updated version of all the rosters on there, so should you want to see who's on the rosters and who the current champions are as well, that is all available on the blogger, which is in the link in the description below. Yeah, I've been Shabby Gamer, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you very, very soon for our next episode of Showdown. Be sure to check it out. We're going to have a few debuts for some new people that have joined the rosters. Bye.